Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hidden in the Thrones podcast, the show where I read the Game of Thrones books for the first time and give you my genuine reaction to the tale's events. My name is Crucial Mike, creator and host for this podcast and first time Game of Thrones reader. Welcome y'all. Yes, hoping you're having a decent week so far. It's either the 6th of January or earlier, much earlier because at the time of recording, I haven't decided if I'm going to release the episode yet or pace myself. I'm kind of torn between the two options, so that's why I'm saying it's either the 6th of January or it's a little bit earlier than that. I know for sure I know for sure I want to make you all happy and give you all content that you all can listen to, but I know also I can't do this every day. Yeah, but I want to give you all content that'll make you guys happy and at a pace that'll make you guys happy enough. So, I don't even know, man. Either way, it's either happy hump day or just happy random day. Whatever it is, I hope you're happy. But if you're not really happy right now, I'm here to sit with you and hopefully lift your mood. Speaking of not being happy right now, I'm starting therapy today. The tense is predicated on what day it is and what time of the day it is. So it's supposed to be Wednesday. And that's probably not the best segue. And it's not that I'm impossibly happy or that anything is wrong per se. But I am trying to sort out my mental health. Hence the therapy session that I'm setting up for today. I've never been to therapy before, and as I told my intended therapist, I feel fine, but I know that I need to start examining myself and my mental health and taking care of myself in that way and fixing any broken things that I may be hiding. I'm kind of nervous to find out what skeletons that I've been intentionally avoiding, and I think it's because I am afraid that it's something that I'm going to have to face seriously when I find out what these broken things are and what these skeletons are. Skeletons. Why do I say skeletons? It's such a weird thing. Skeletons. As in the part that holds up our meat parts. Anyway, yeah, so I'm a bit nervous to find out about those dark things that I'm inevitably going to find out about. But it's completely overdue. It's way overdue. And especially being a Black woman from the Caribbean, there are things. I know there are things. I know that there are. Someone talked about on Twitter, I believe, about hurt passing through generations due to behaviors, well-behaved, through trauma and stuff like that. And Black people definitely would have experienced and I'll actually continuing to experience that trauma simply because of slavery and all the mental stuff that came with it. And truck. So sorry about the cars. You guys know the drill by now. I'm recording at a place where there's traffic, and that is stressing me out mentally too. So maybe I don't think therapy will sort that out. Maybe just better equipment will sort that out. But this is the best that I can do for now. And like I always say, if you're bothered by that, just focus on my voice. But yeah, so I am nervous for therapy, but it's long overdue, and I'm glad that I'm actually getting a chance to do this. I hope I don't make anybody feel bad about not being able to go to therapy. I think it's important, and I thought I would share because this is just a huge step for me, and this is not a segue to ad in any way. I have no sponsors. I just started this podcast. Nobody wants to talk to me at this point in time, but I thought I would just share that because mental health is really important, especially given the events of the last year. It's so important that we take care of our mental health, you guys. But I want to be able to help those who can't afford therapy. If you can, please go. It's so important that you take care of our mental health. But those of you who can't afford it, for those of us who can't afford it or can't afford to go to these sessions, I would like y'all to drop some names in either in my inbox, or you can add me at MSMIKE772 or Turbulent Book W1. Those are the 2 Twitter pages that you can use, and just drop some names of some free therapists or some free counseling sessions or places in your country, so that we can help everybody have a healthier, or at least mentally healthier year for 2021. I want to be able for everybody to be able to access that, because we're all dragging traumas that we don't want to discuss. But let's get into today's episode, shall we? So today's episode is look at 2 chapters told from this perspective of Catelyn again. We're back with Catelyn, and this time we have Arya Stark, one of the Stark children. So in the first chapter that we're going to examine, Catelyn gets word from her sister, Lisa or Lysa. I'm not sure. I know that they're different. And did I say Arya? Listen, I started with the reading of the books. I've never watched the Game of Thrones series, as you guys know. And I've been hearing it's Arya. So if I say Arya, please don't get too pissed. But it's Arya. And I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce Lysa. So not Lysa. Lyanna. No, Lyanna is Ned's sister. So Lisa. I'm going to say Lisa until I'm otherwise corrected. And you guys can correct me via voice notes or whatever the case is. Or by Twitter or whatever you choose. Anyway, so the sister lets Catelyn know that she suspects that her husband, who is Jon Arryn, and Jon Arryn was the former king's right hand, and also Ned's best friend and brother-in-law. And she says basically that she suspects that Jon Arryn's death was not natural. She suspects it was murder, essentially. And so I'm just gonna let y'all into what I was thinking while I was kind of reading the chapter. So I read and I kind of like scribble down notes. So I'm just gonna tell y'all what I was thinking while I was reading. So we get to see more of the opposite natures of Catelyn and Ned. The chapter opens up very spicily, to be honest. Oh my gosh, these vehicles. And it's the end of the day, so they will more than likely never stop. So I'm trying to go more into the corner so that you guys are blocked from the sound, but I don't know how well that will work. Anyway, let me stop complaining about the sound. Anyway, so the chapter opens up very spicily. And after they finish making love, Ned goes and immediately and opens the window. Now, where the castle is, it's built over a hot spring, so that the castle is always warm. The towers are always warm. Catelyn is from a place where it's warm, or at least where there are more warm periods, and Ned is just accustomed to this cold thing. So we get to see more of the opposite nature between them, and the dynamic seems, it seems to work. So good on them. I also kind of, all right, so I'm jumping, but I'm happy that the opposite attract dynamic is working for them. Then we have Master Lewin coming to deliver the letter where Lisa makes her or Lysa makes her accusations in, and I'm kind of intrigued at how that whole scene played out. And it might be childish to some people, but I don't know. For me, it's kind of weird. So first of all, he's summoned into the bedchamber. Like, I don't know how this is normal, but it just finished having sex. And the room must smell like sex. And here you are inviting your house steward into the bedroom, like, hey, yeah, this is what we do. It's kind of weird, but I guess it kind of speaks to their progressiveness as well. Things like sexuality and sex and stuff like that. They're not as confined as the Western world is where that is concerned, which kind of also would explain why Catelyn was so comfortable in just being naked in front of Master Luwin. And even when Ned told her, well, hey, kind of give her a little indication. He didn't really say anything out loud, but he kind of gave her an indication. Hey, Master Luwin is standing right there. Why are you naked? And she turns to Ned and she says, yeah, no, it's not the time for false modesties because of the exigency of the situation. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, progressiveness, but I mean, it will never not be weird, as it is with many things in this story. But good for them, though. Good for them that they're so progressive. We also get to find out a little bit about Jon Snow's mom. Her name is Ashara Dane, and from all indications or from all signals, Ned was much more in love with her than he is with Catelyn. Now, in all fairness, Catelyn was originally promised to Brandon Stark, which is Ned's older brother, I believe. Died and all that. He's in the crypt with everybody else, and the love that was between her and at least Brandon is not the same as the love between her and Ned. So both of them had their little secret loves, whatever, but they ended up loving each other. Again, good for them. But I don't know, staying too long to begrudge him is kind of unfair. However, when you think about the fact that she and Brandon don't have an outside child to remind Ned of the love between the two of them, I guess you could kind of see where her bitterness is coming from, especially where Jon is concerned and seeing that Jon is living in the castle with everybody else. So I mean, I guess from that perspective, I kind of could understand her hurt, and I understand why she didn't want to allow Jon to have dinner with them in the first instance, because she would have to face that pain, and the Lannisters, of course, because of their very, very, very devious nature, they would take that and run with it and make it a kind of mockery, and you really don't want that kind of mess. So I will always say that blaming the child is always an overkill, but in this instance, I do understand where she is coming from. In the end, Ned decides to take the position of the Hand solely to find out whether or not Jon's death was a murder, as his sister-in-law believes. And I hate that my thoughts are leaking into each other, but Lysa isn't exactly wrong given the kind of people that the Lannisters are. She isn't wrong, and I am excited to find out how they are going to get exposed, even though I feel like my excitement is a bit foolish.
Hey there. All the big podcasts usually take this opportunity to talk about their sponsors. This podcast doesn't have any. But there's nothing like speaking it into existence before it happens. So, this is an ad space, and this is made for the Hidden in the Thrones podcast. Now on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Radio Public, and Anchor.
The next chapter is from the perspective of Arya Stark, and we meet her when she is trying and failing miserably at sewing, as we all do at times, because I mean, really, who's trying to learn how to sew in this dance? I mean, you should. I can hold my own, but I wouldn't try to sell it or try to help somebody sew something. I wouldn't go that far. But anyway, she is in the presence of the Princess Marcella, who's a Lannister, and there's her sister Sansa there, and there are a couple of other ladies all doing sewing together. And apparently all of them can sew. Well, not Marcella, because Arya points out that Marcella's stitches are crooked, or they seem crooked, and Septa Morgane, who is more or less the babysitter, is fawning over her and making her feel as if, she's doing this fantastic job. By the way, she feels out of place because she can't do what is considered the quote-unquote womanly arts, which would be the sewing and the cooking and the being able to dance and all that disgusting stuff. And she really doesn't want to be there because she doesn't feel welcome. And we can all identify, because we've all felt like that at some point in time. We've all felt like an Arya in a world of I guess Princess Marcella's to some extent, but more to Sansa. Or we've all felt like an Arya to somebody's Sansa. That's the best way to put it. And we feel out of place because we don't do what society considers correct for the gender, right? Or at least acceptable for gender or particular position or whatever the case is. So anyway, she feels out of place, and she gets totally upset when Septa Morgane makes fun of her stitches in front of everybody, especially the princess, because the princess being there is a big deal. And she eventually storms off and she heads to the courtyard or to the field where Jon and the guys, or at least Jon, is watching the guys spar. And he's sitting afar out of the field and out of the sparring part because they don't want the bastards there. So two outcasts sitting together makes sense. And she feels accepted there more than she feels accepted among those of her own gender. And sometimes that really is all that it takes to make somebody feel better about themselves, or for them to abide in a particular place. They just feel more welcome in that other place. It's weird to me that so much scrutiny is placed on what is expected of women and girls, and then with the guys there's just so much less pressure. It's not fair. Don't get me wrong, I know that guys have a lot of pressure as well. I get that, I understand that, it's not lost on me. However, there's just like this weird pressure, and from other women, to perform, and if you're not good at this, you're not a woman, and all this weird stuff that I feel like it's completely unnecessary, and it just casts more persons and talented persons in their own way out of circles that they probably should be in order to spruce up the circle a little bit. Like, that's the best way. Message. Sorry, I just got a message. I hope y'all didn't. But anyway. Yeah, so she's in the yard, she's watching the guys play with the swords and so on, and she feels more welcome there. One other thing, a couple of things actually. She mentions that she remembers when she first noticed that she and Jon were the only two children of her father who looked like their father, and she was so afraid that she was a bastard as well, that she ran to Jon and she asked him if she was a bastard too. And I know that had to hurt him so much, and it was such a weird thing for her to go and ask him, especially given the position that he was already in. But you know what, and applause to Jon for being gracious enough to answer his little sister and reassure her and so on. But I know like that had to sting. It's also a self-esteem thing, because she looks so much like her father, and she has the dark hair as opposed to the red hair of her mom. She seems to think that she's ugly in some way, and that's also like a self-esteem thing. It also doesn't help that everybody keeps referring to Sansa as pretty and not really giving her the attention, and really just treating her as clumsy and as a second bit and a second rate. So there's also a self-esteem thing attached to that as well. On a brighter note though, they are the ones that play the most important, one of the more important parts in the story. And it's so funny that they are the ones that looked down at and looked askew or looked askance at, and they are the ones that play the most important part in the story, at least going forward. So that, I think that's pretty awesome, and it also kind of speaks to feeling out of place and yet coming back and creating the most amazing content, and being a weirdo being profitable. So it boils down to being weird is being profitable. Being weird, oh really, these cars, I don't know, I'm struggling with the cars. Yeah, but it boils down to being weird, being profitable, and making content like that people want to see and that people want to be able to purchase. So I mean, I guess that's the win there. That's the win there. And lastly, and I cannot stress this enough, and I think it's appropriate that I mention this now, Joffrey is a twat. That's it. That's the thought. And that is where I'm gonna leave it for today, guys. A lot to unpack, and I can't wait for the next one, because as I was saying, I was reading ahead and there's a part that we needed to talk about. But for today, we'll stop. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. We are officially available now on 6 different podcast stations. And if you don't remember, it's Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and of course, Anchor. I keep saying we, but I am on YouTube as well. It's the Turbulent Bookworm Podcast. It's the home of the Hidden in the Thrones podcast, as well as the future home of more podcasts to come. We are planning, we are doing stuff. Guys, look out for more productions from me. And in the meantime, what you can do is subscribe to both Twitters, Turbulent Book W1 and at Miss Mike 772. You can at me your thoughts, and you can do all that. You can also leave me a voice message here on Anchor if you so desire. And I may include my favorite tweets and voice messages in the next podcast. I really would like to get some conversations going about Game of Thrones, so guys, don't hesitate to message me. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. But that's going to do it for now, though. Thank you so much for listening. And for now, stay safe, stay focused. Y'all, it was nice, but I'm gone. Bye.